In 1994, among the top 10 highest paid players in the NFL, 3 were running backs. Back then, they were the kings of the league. But nowadays, in a statistic-driven age, the data shows that the passing game is more efficient. Today, not a single running back is in the top 50 of the highest paid players. Their salary growth since the 90s is dead last amongst all positions. The average annual salary for running backs is $1.8 million. The average for kickers, $2.2 million.
Like, at some point, are we ever going to embrace a running back?
But it looks like San Francisco is certainly embracing Christian McCaffrey with his contract worth $19 million a year.
He's the best player on the planet at his position, having the best years, a top 10 year all time. And running backs don't have top 10 years anymore. Like, that's over.
CMC is an anomaly at this position. To stay ahead, he plays a completely different game than everyone else. He's broken records that make you wonder, is he really even a running back? The NFL used to love this position. In 1997, Barry Sanders signed a contract that made him the 3rd highest paid player in the league. These big paydays were completely justified because the running game won Super Bowls. In 1998, the Broncos beat the Packers in Super Bowl 32. Yes, that was behind the great John Elway, who only threw for 12 completions for 123 yards that day. The real hero for Denver was the running back, Terrell Davis, with his 157 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Now let's fast forward and look at the leading rusher of the Super Bowl winning teams in the last 5 years. Super Bowl 54, Damian Williams rushed for 104 yards. Super Bowl 55, Leonard Fournette went for 89. Super Bowl 56, Cam Akers had just 21 yards. Super Bowl 57, Isaiah Pacheco had 76. Super Bowl 58, the Chiefs' leading rusher had 66 yards. And it wasn't even a running back. It was Patrick Mahomes. In fact, that 104-yard performance by Kansas City's Damian Williams in Super Bowl 54 was the only time in the last 10 years the Super Bowl winner had a rusher go for over 100 yards. So, do running backs really need a big game anymore to lead their team to glory? Then again, the play calling now seems intent not to run the ball. In Super Bowl 49, the Pats' leading rusher was LeGarrette Blount with only 40 yards. On the other side was Seattle's Marshawn Lynch with 102. The Seahawks seemed destined to win that game. But the call that will live on forever in infamy was to throw the ball on that critical play, which got picked off and the Seahawks lost.
God dang it, run the dang ball!
Even in the most recent AFC Championship, the Chiefs were at the home of the #1 running team in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens. In the second half, the Ravens only had 2 running plays for their backs, a game in which many believed they would have won if they stuck to their greatest strength all season.
God dang it, run the dang ball!
It's clearly a pass-heavy league nowadays. But is Richard Sherman onto something? What do the 49ers know that the rest of us don't? Why pay so much for McCaffrey? The years of the superstar running back are now long gone. Saquon Barkley is one of the best backs in the league, and the Giants just let him walk. Aaron Jones has been a highly productive back, and the Packers asked him to take a pay cut, which resulted in him leaving. Frank Gore Jr. was just released by the Bills even after PFF graded him as the best rookie running back in the preseason. Teams really seem to be fixated on every position besides running back. They tend to have shorter careers on average than all other position groups since they take far more contact. Teams also feel if you have a good offensive line, you can put anyone back there. They think running backs are a dime a dozen, and they pay them as such. But if all of that is true, then why is San Francisco paying Christian McCaffrey more than 10 times the average salary for that position? What makes CMC so special if you can just put anyone back there? Well, let's start with the intangibles. Christian McCaffrey was born into a family of athletes. His father was an NFL player, his mother played soccer at Stanford, he has 2 younger brothers who played college ball, and even an older brother who made it to the NFL before him. Football is in Christian McCaffrey's blood. He has natural talent, but also learned to have a mechanical work ethic that he carried with him to Stanford and all the way to the pros.
Christian's that guy that does have the talent to get in the club. He's obviously fast, he's big enough, he's strong enough, but his attention to detail in every little thing that he does is, like I say, it's It's Manning-like.
In the 2017 draft, McCaffrey was selected 8th overall by the Carolina Panthers. In terms of rushing numbers, his rookie year was decent. He only started about half the games and amassed 435 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the most unique part of McCaffrey's game wasn't just his rushing ability. It was his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. These weren't just good for a running back numbers. These numbers were good for a receiver. 80 receptions, 651 yards, 5 touchdowns for a rookie running back. His receiving skills are comparable to the best wide receivers in the league. Christian McCaffrey is a playmaker in both the run and pass game. But unlike a receiver, it isn't just with his speed. The best athletes in the world have trouble bringing him down. When McCaffrey delivers a hit, the pain isn't just skin deep, it's soul deep. McCaffrey isn't just running through defenders, he is juking them out too. He's made countless defenders look silly on national television. Doesn't matter if it's against a linebacker or a DB. He's broken ankles. He's broken game plans. Currently, he's the best running back in the world.
But I see otherworldly talent here. I think he's the most talented running back ever.
On September 23, 2018, Christian McCaffrey rushed for the most yards he's ever had in one game, 184. This would not be an anomaly. 8 times in his career, he's rushed for 125 yards or more, and 4 of those times have been over 150, including his 3rd highest rushing performance of 153 almost exactly a year later, September 22, 2019. 2 weeks after that, he posted his 2nd highest rushing total, 176 yards. 6 weeks later, he had his highest receiving total in a game, 121 receiving yards. 2019 was shaping up to be a hell of a year for CMC. At the end of that season, Christian McCaffrey joined elite company. Only Marshall Faulk, Roger Craig, and now McCaffrey had one single season where they both rushed for 1,000 yards and put up 1,000 receiving yards. On top of joining that short list, he even broke a major record that same year. He had the most receptions ever by a running back in a single season, with 116. The craziest part about that was who held the previous record with 107 catches. It was actually his own, which he set the year before in 2018. 100-plus receptions in a season. It doesn't happen often. In fact, there have only been 6 seasons in which a running back has had 100 or more receptions, and McCaffrey has 2 of them. Let's examine every season back to 2018 to see how many receivers in the league broke the 100-plus catch mark in the last 6 years. 2023, 12 players did it. 2022, 9 players. 2021, 10. 2020, 8. 2019, only 5. 2018, there were 11. Using those numbers, an average of 9.1 receivers get 100-plus receptions in a season, and McCaffrey has done it twice as a running back. And in 2019, McCaffrey was 2nd on the list of most receptions, behind only Michael Thomas. Is he even a real running back at this point? Now, being the main weapon on a struggling Carolina Panthers team, McCaffrey was asked to do it all. But then McCaffrey was traded to San Francisco midway through the 2022 season. He'd be going to a team with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. He wouldn't be the sole weapon anymore. With all this talent around him, he didn't need to be the main playmaker. Then why did his production nearly double? The superstar running backs had all vanished from the NFL, but there seemed to be one left in Carolina. So when he moved to the stacked Niner team, he was expected to lessen his contribution and likely fade away as another replaceable back.
San Francisco's most talented roster. San Francisco is the best roster and best coach team in football.
But somehow his numbers actually increased. When McCaffrey was with the Panthers from 2017 to midway through 2022, he played a total of 64 games. In those 64 games, he averaged 62.2 rushing yards per game. After McCaffrey's first offseason with the Niners, he came into the 2023 season fully prepared and averaged 91.2 rushing yards per game. That's 1.5 times as many as he was averaging in Carolina. Let's exclude McCaffrey's rookie season and the 2 years he missed significant time, 2020 and 2021. Let's look at his full seasons of 2018, 2019, and the season he was traded, 2022. 2018, 6th in rushing yards, tied for 8th in rushing first downs. 2019, 3rd in rushing yards, 7th in rushing first downs. 2022, 8th in rushing yards, 7th in rushing first downs. Every year he was a top 10 back in both categories. But one full season in San Francisco in 2023, McCaffrey showed us that his ceiling was much higher. 1st in rushing yards, and it wasn't even close. He had 300 more yards than the next guy. 1st in rushing first downs, and it wasn't even close. He had 20 more than the next guy. He was also 2nd in rushing touchdowns. Some critics argue better offensive line, better numbers. It would be a fair point if it was truly accurate. People think San Francisco's offensive line is one of the best in the league because of Trent Williams, but it actually isn't. Trent Williams was rated by PFF as the best tackle in all of football the last 3 years. But how about the O-line as a whole? In 2021, San Francisco's offensive line overall was ranked 3rd best by PFF. But in 2022, they were 14th, and in 2023, they were 18th. McCaffrey's last 3 full seasons in Carolina, by comparison, in 2018, their O-line was 17th overall, 2019 they were 18th, and in 2022 they were 24th. The difference in rank wasn't that drastic. It looks like McCaffrey is now in a system that knows how to use him best. And that's scary, because he was already tearing the league apart in Carolina. After seeing his play in 2023, defenses need to rethink their approach to containing that Niner offense. CMC is the one true superstar running back left, and it looks like he will keep that spot for a while. Thank you for watching. If you liked our video, be sure to subscribe and check out our other videos on the screen.